Welcome to Out of Bounds, episode X. That is episode 10. We got some creepy stuff going on tonight. It is our Halloween episode. Halloween will take place before our next Out of Bounds broadcast, so we're having some fun with Halloween tonight. I don't know where Brandon got that creepy music from, but it is very creepy. If you don't come play with us, we will kill you. But pretty funny stuff. Before we're coming on air, we're just joking around about a lot of things. But breaking news hitting the wire. Just got this over my phone. Conference call with Cowboys defensive coordinator Mike Nolan was just delayed because he got Tabasco sauce on his finger and then touched his eye. That is so 2020. It is ridiculous.
It's so Dallas Cowboys.
But yeah, so for any of you that don't know, if you get Tabasco sauce, you definitely don't touch your eye, or you definitely go pee. You don't get it in the pee hole either. Two things that you don't do. But that's pretty funny stuff. It can't get any more 2020 than that. Without further delay, I'll bring Brandon in for tonight. How are things going?
Things are really good.
Things are good.
Yeah. That was Chloe was really happy with those 2 boxes of Team Canada stuff. She liked it.
We ripped some Upper Deck Team Canada stuff just before we came on the air. About 5:30 we did that. That video is up on our YouTube channel as well if you guys want to watch. But if you haven't seen it, it's pretty fun. There was a Lafreniere hit in the second box. Exclusive. That was kind of neat. But I want to say hi to Fred and hi to Alex tuning in early. Out of Bounds is going live at 7 p.m. tonight due to the fact that actually it's 7 p.m. from here on out.
Yeah, that's what we decided.
That way we don't run into Monday Night Football. Hey, Alon, what's going on? All of our favorites are online right now, so hopefully everybody tunes in. If you guys have questions during the show, don't be afraid to ask. We do answer. It's an interactive show. The way this works, beard nice and trimmed. Yeah, what kind of tea do I have tonight?
Cocoa Chai Rooibos.
Cocoa Chai Rubadoo. So Cocoa Chai Rubadoo is what I got going on tonight. I haven't tried it yet, so you guys will get my genuine expression here.
Well, you said you were rating them after, right?
Yeah.
Last week you gave a -4, so we can't get much worse than that.
So just before we went on air, we might have some fireworks tonight. I gave Brandon some of the sugar-free gummy bears. If you guys don't know, if you eat Haribo gummy bears, the sugar-free ones, they give you wicked diarrhea. So
it's quite the sales pitch he had for me.
So they have 36 carbs in them. 21 of those carbs are fiber. So they're extreme fiber content. They only have 3 sugars, 4 protein, and I don't know, the rest is made out of unicorns and pieces of magical creatures.
I got a picture waiting for you tomorrow at 6 a.m.
So anybody out there has ever done the Haribo Gummy Bear Challenge, not a lot of fun. Literally, I worked with a guy once. This is where Out of Bounds gets really good when I start story time. I worked with a guy once. We literally did not want to be at work, so we had this idea. We would each buy the 5-pound bag of Haribo sugar-free gummy bears, 5 pounds, and we would eat handfuls of them until whoever pooped their pants first, because the idea was that if you poop your pants at work, they have to send you home.
Yeah, someone's got to go home.
You can't work today, Mike. You have poopy pants. So we were willing to take that one for the team, so we didn't have to work. But
what kind of nickname do you get after that?
Poopy Pants Mike. Yeah. Yeah, well, shit break or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. We had lots of names. But anyways, that was a fun game we used to play. Well, we didn't actually do it because he chickened out, but I would definitely do that on air with Brandon if he ever wanted to go.
How fast does that stuff go through you?
So if you go online, you can actually see people doing the challenge, and it's within like 30 minutes.
Oh, really?
There's guys that want to eat them so quick. I've seen guys online take them and blend them in a blender and drink them so they can get them down quicker so they don't have to chew. And literally, they wear diapers during the shoot, and they poop their pants. They shit their pants. This is a PG-13 show, so we can say they shit their pants.
Okay.
They don't. I will send you some, Alon. I'll send you a package to Israel of Haribo gummy bears.
Throw in a couple of Dallas Stars cards there for him too.
Definitely. One of our best fans coming all the way from Israel.
Yeah.
So tonight's topics. Let's get to this.
Sure.
I'll just name them off right now. Long-term COVID. What that's going to be talking about. Well, we'll get to that. But Major League Baseball losses. An article just came out yesterday about how much money baseball lost this year. Then we're going to go with scariest moments in sports. We'll open that up. There's not a whole lot going on in sports right now. we'll open it up to what's the scariest thing you've ever seen in person. We'll do that because it's to go in line with the Halloween theme and Trick or Treat NFL. So what we're going to do there, we're going to explain that. We're going to say the Detroit Lions Trick or Treat 3-3. Are they for real? Are they for real being it's a treat, or are they frauds, meaning are they tricking us?
Yeah.
We'll do that with 5 or 6 teams, and you guys can chime in for that. Yeah. And as always, we love having the free-for-all at the back end. You guys can talk to us about whatever you want, and we'll talk about sports for about a 10-minute period.
Yeah, there was a lot of feedback last week.
A lot of stuff going on.
A lot of free-for-all.
Dan told me to tune into the UFC fight on Saturday. I watched it. You weren't here, were you? We watched the UFC fight here live in the shop, and this is why I don't watch UFC, because it's lackluster. It's just, it's going to be the greatest fight ever. And they just kiss and hug, and then it's all over.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like a bad date. But anyways, but we'll get to the first topic here. We got 10 minutes on the clock. We're actually a little bit late starting here.
Okay.
10 minutes on the clock. Long-term COVID effects. So I'm watching television. Actually, I seen this on Facebook of all places. Someone had posted the long-term effects of COVID. There's a new wording coming out, a thing coming out right now called long-term haulers, like truck drivers, long haulers. So what this means in the COVID community is people that had COVID and recovered, but 6-8 months down the road are still showing symptoms or still showing adverse effects to the disease or to COVID, and what that's going to mean in professional sports. So I'm watching this, and it was on NBC Nightly News, I believe it was. They had a lady on saying that she's been tracking this, and it's happening with a lot of younger people. So if you're under the age of 40, she said it was mostly between like 25 and 40, 25 and 34. She's seeing that a lot of people are coming forward and saying that they had COVID. They no longer have any symptoms of COVID itself, but it didn't attack their respiratory system. It attacked their organs and other parts of their body.
Yep.
So now they're having adverse effects like onset diabetes. They're having heart attacks at the age of 30, 35 out of nowhere. Never had heart implications before, nothing.
Yeah.
Now they're having strokes.
Yeah.
There's major things happening with this COVID. If you get it, it goes in, it does its damage. Maybe you survive. Hopefully you do. But down the road, you might have problems.
And that's the thing. They'll never know what it's going to look like, right? Until we get 10, 15 years down the road.
Yes.
They can conjecture and hypothesize what it's potentially going to be and what it will do. But they have no idea. Like, they really have no idea. All they know is that it's different than the flu. And they know that it attacks your body much differently than what the flu does.
Yes. So why are we talking about this, you may ask? So it's very important to look back. We are hockey fans here in Canada, so I'll use hockey as an example. Austin Matthews had COVID. Connor McDavid had COVID. 2 of the biggest stars in the league. So why does this have an effect? Yes, they're highly trained athletes. Yes, they're highly conditioned. But if this stuff attacks out of nowhere, they're also getting tested all the time. So that's another thing. So if there was an issue, possibly they might detect it early, especially with the screening process that the athletes have to go through now. But if you're the Edmonton Oilers and you have Connor McDavid, if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs and you have Austin Matthews, things get a little interesting.
Yeah.
If maybe COVID attacks these guys 5 years down the road, and there's no loyalty in sports, folk. I'm going to tell you that right now. There's no loyalty. Do you trade these guys?
Yeah.
Do you get rid of them because like Connor McDavid might be at practice someday and his heart explodes?
Yeah, I know that they are they're your cornerstones.
Of course they are.
But you run the risk of something potentially devastating happening, and then what do you do?
It's happened on the ice before with guys like Yuri Fisher. They just have heart attacks on the bench.
Yep.
Like, we know that these guys are highly trained athletes and highly conditioned athletes, but they've also stressed those body parts for years.
Yeah.
So, like, they have conditioning so their heart's in better shape than most people, but if that virus got in there and did damage that they haven't detected yet, we could see a guy just drop.
I mean, luckily, they do have a much better science healthcare system on teams now than they ever have. They have practically their own hospital inside the arena.
So that's one thing they have working for them. that they do have the best care available. They're taken care of better than the average person. Let's put it that way. And but what I'm saying though, will you see teams put out insurance on these players?
Oh,
I think that's the next thing to come. You're going to see teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Edmonton Oilers say, I need to insure myself because of these players, that they could be done at any given time.
Right.
Because this long-term COVID effect. It's called long hauling. It's a phrase that they use in truck driving. So it's not like one and done. It's like this is going to be for the long haul.
Right.
Basically, that's what it is, right? So, but they're seeing people that are 25, 30 years old that had no pre-existing conditions, which your Matthews and your Connor McDavid would fall into. All of a sudden, they're dying of heart attacks 6 months later.
Yeah.
So, do the Edmonton Oilers, do the Toronto Maple Leafs consult an insurance agency and say, look, we need to insure, we need some insurance here. Like, if this guy dies, what happens? There has been hockey players die of heart attacks. The Russian player a few years ago.
Yeah.
The league gave them an extra draft pick as compensation, but you're losing a human being here.
Yeah.
You can't bring that back. I get that they're doing what they can to help them, but say next year, we don't want to see this happen. I'm just saying this is the reality of it. Next year, one of these guys falls seriously ill with kidney failure or anything. It's attacking all the major organs. That's what they're saying. What if in the off season one of these guys doesn't work out for a bit? The virus attacks more. It's from what it sounds like to me. It sounds like a very aggressive cancer. So it should be looked at in the same light. It is a virus that is just eating away at major organs. So what do they do? What happens if one of these guys just all of a sudden kidney function gone?
I have no idea. It's a scary time for sports right now. And when you threw this topic at us, I was thinking you were thinking of it from the physical aspect of the players. I'm looking at it from the financial aspect and the long-term viability of the league moving forward as a result of COVID. And I was thinking to myself, okay, so at some point CBAs are going to come up. And that players are going to want more money, but there's not going to be money there. And that is going to cause a major headbutt between the leagues and the unions. And I wouldn't be surprised within the next 5 years if you see a league do a lockout as a result of this, because there is no money. And players are going to want to get paid. And they're probably going to want to get paid now up front because of the things that you're saying. I don't know how much longer my career is going to be. I don't know if this virus is going to get us. Who knows if a vaccine is going to be available and if it's even going to work and if it's going to cause long-term immunity. So I imagine that players are going to want the money up front now on the offshoot that their career may be cut short. You know what I'm saying? And the league won't be able to afford it. Owners didn't get to where they're at, making billions of dollars, being nice to people.
No.
Right?
It is a business at the end of the day, and it will survive. Sports will survive. It's a vital part of our society. As human beings, we go to work and we get home, and it's pretty dreary if you don't have something to look forward to. And sports are a release for people. So I think the leagues will do whatever they need to. That's why the money was a big factor, and we're going to get into that with the segue into the next topic. But money's always the biggest factor. But it's also the fact that governments can step in and say, look, we need you guys as a distraction right now. And you can't tell me that when hockey came back, when baseball came back, if you're a diehard fan, it didn't take your mind off the dreadful of the day.
Oh, I watched games all day. I was watching games were on all day.
so it works as a release. It is something that is absolutely needed to get through this kind of stuff. That's why 9/11 happened. They couldn't wait to get sports back up and running safely, just because that brought a country together, brought a lot of the world together out of tragedy. And I think that's what's going to happen with COVID as well. Once it's safe to do so, I don't think we're going to see a recession in North America for sure. I think we're going to see a renaissance. I think people are going to be lining up. Ticket sales are going to be higher than ever. because my wife and I were talking about the other night about concerts. Like we would be like, let's not go to any concerts this summer. You know what I mean? Let's save some money. Well, now it's like I'm going every week.
Yeah.
Like when it's safe to do so, I'm not. My time and my life is more valuable than work. You know what I mean? My happiness is more important. And like we're gonna spend the money and go to as much stuff as we can for the experience and the joy of it.
But then you run the risk of a topic we talked about in episode 6 or whatever about teams pricing out the middle class, right?
It's just the beast.
Because
it's just the way it is.
They're gonna want to recoup what they can as quickly as they possibly can to keep lining those pockets. And I honestly, if I'm gonna give a hot take here, I think within 5 years you'll see a league not shut down, but you'll see a league lockout. Within the next 5 years.
Well, it happens every 5 years as it is, anyways. Like
but I'm talking like how the NHL completely lost a season.
Okay.
Don't be surprised if you see that as a result of COVID-19.
And on to the next topic. I think that league would likely be Major League Baseball.
I would agree with you.
Major League Baseball. Here's the thing. Just came out in reports that even though they did play a 62 game schedule,
games, yeah.
62 game schedule with limited or no fans in the stands. The league lost $3.1 billion this year. If you break that down, that's about $100 million per team. Mm-hmm. Factor in that players are still making their salaries even though they're prorated. We had massive losses in Major League Baseball this year. And that's a league that it's not doing that great as it is.
Yeah, their attendance has been down, I think, year over year for the last 6 years, right?
I think what they need to do in Major League Baseball is just totally reconsider the way the whole thing works. I think Detroit had it best. Detroit's one of the teams. Montreal is possibly in talks to come back to Major League Baseball, and it's funny. It's funny because that Montreal being one of the teams that's being talked about coming back. Tampa was one of the teams that was rumored to go to Montreal.
Really?
And they'd be playing for a World Series right now.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to the games in Tampa. They have a World Series team there.
Yeah.
And it's been like that for a couple years now. They're really good at drafting and developing players. They just can't afford to keep them. TV contracts. Yeah, so Ryan's bringing up the fact, we'll get to that in a minute, but he's talking about TV contracts in baseball. Most teams have their own contracts. Mm-hmm. It's not league-wide like basketball where TNT or TBS or whoever it is comes in and says, here's $15 billion for 10 years.
Yeah. So
that gets spread out over the owners. For instance, like the Yankees do very well because they have their own network, and they have 10 million people that watch those games in the city of New York. So yes, is the station. G-Web. Hey man, we're not talking Champions Path right now. We're talking sports. This is out of bounds, man. No, we did not crack the Champions Path case, but we can talk about that at a later time. Or how'd you do with yours? Tell us how you did while you're on tonight.
You put it in the free-for-all.
Put it in the free-for-all. We'll talk about it at the end here. But back to Major League Baseball. So you're looking at a $100 million loss per team on average. Who can afford to lose that?
Yeah.
Who can afford to lose that not for this year, but possibly a full season next year as well? And you still have to pay out your salaries. Like it's just the money's not there right now, and Major League Baseball is a league that's been struggling. But what I was getting to about the revamping the league, I know this sounds crazy, but the next time a team decides to build a stadium, I think they should build like a 25,000 seat stadium. Start bringing the stadium sizes down because it'll look 3/4 full on television. Yeah. And then that might drive people to the ballpark because a visual aspect of that is like, okay, people are going to the games. Like, the same amount of people are going to be going to the games. But, like, look at it this way. Like, maybe now you can fill your stadium and tickets are in demand.
Yeah.
If, like, people are sheeple. Like, we know that. People will do what other people are doing. If they see on television that, hey, it's the thing to do on a Friday night, go to a Jays game, because they're playing in a 25,000-30,000 seat building instead of a stadium. Let's be honest, like during the regular season, most stadiums close their upper deck anyways. So why not just build a one-level stadium like Comerica kind of did in the outfield and that, and it seats 42,000, I think. But it is one of the smaller stadiums in baseball right now.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a smart idea. I don't think anyone would do that though.
No, because when playoffs come around and you can sell tickets for 5 times, 6 times what they're worth, and it fills because people are sheeple.
They're excited about it.
That's right.
And it creates. Do you think that MLB will contract?
MLB is actually going to to win over more fans, to make more money. Major League Baseball is going to stick with the current playoff format. I think they're going to let 16 teams in every year.
Okay.
Which will absolutely kill baseball. It will save it in one part because of the financial side of it.
Yeah.
But they will literally lose anybody that was a diehard fan / what do you want to call it? Traditionalist. Yes, a traditionalist.
You don't think that they'll get used to that though?
No, because the traditionalists are still bitching about like the designated hitter.
Right.
So, well, the ones that are still alive, anyways.
The
purists of baseball. A lot of people still see it as America's pastime. I think it got passed as America's pastime
by football.
20 years ago. Yeah. When they had their lockout in the early 90s in baseball, which cost the Montreal Expos a world championship, by the way, and I firmly believe that's why they walked out. They didn't want to have a Canadian team win the World Series 3 years straight. Toronto twice, Montreal. It was killing baseball in the U.S. when the Canadian teams were winning championships. So I think it had a lot to do with that. They're like, well, if we're going to shut it down, now's the time.
Right.
It wasn't directly because of that, but they're like, things aren't looking good for our American teams. Like, we need to shut this down. So, but anyways, on to the fact that I think baseball needs to totally revamp the way they do things. I really think they need to go to smaller stadiums. Look at it this way, right? Major League Soccer. We never talk Major League Soccer on here.
No.
But you have a team like Toronto FC, okay? They play at BMO Field. I think it seats maybe 25,000.
Yeah, it's a big stadium.
It's a very small stadium compared to what other teams have.
Yes, but when you drive by it, geographically it's big.
Okay.
It's a big stadium.
But if you look at it like the LA Galaxy play at...
Oh, well, that's a completely different stadium.
80,000 seats.
But
you see what I'm saying?
You're also in LA. So.
I get that. But one of the hardest tickets to get, forget about the Leafs, folks. The hardest ticket to get in Toronto is for Toronto FC. And that might be because the demographics changing in Toronto, more people coming like immigrants and such. Like the demographic is quickly changing in Toronto.
Yeah.
A lot of people love football or soccer we call it. But it's one of those things where that's going to hurt the Toronto Maple Leafs in the end. Because a lot of those high-priced dollars, if Toronto FC can see that, we'll talk about the Blue Jays too. That might also be the reason the Blue Jays are struggling to get fans in. Yes, they had a run in the playoffs a couple years ago, and they did kind of well. So tickets were hot, okay. But you're telling me anytime next year you can't walk up and buy a ticket at face value? There's all kinds available.
Yeah, baseball as a sport is boring.
Baseball is the worst sport to watch on the planet.
Oh my God!
I haven't watched a single minute of the World Series. I literally turned the TV on at 10 o'clock. The game's been on for 2 hours in their 4th inning.
Yep.
I'm like, come on. There's too many pitching changes.
Absolutely. It's too slow. It's too strategic now. There's too many stats. Like, I mean, baseball in general, when you talk about baseball needing to change, like it really does. But how do you change baseball to speed it up? And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that our society, because of our cell phones, we can get gratification immediately.
Yes, so that's what he's talking about is called instant gratification.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that everything is changing. Really, we don't talk about it a lot here. We're gonna have a special show for wrestling, but wrestling, you don't see these long drawn out storylines anymore that take 6 months of your investment into the characters, into the storyline. Like you get emotionally connected to this storyline. You want to see the good guy prevail.
Mm-hmm.
That can't happen anymore because people will just be like, screw it, I'm just going to watch something else.
Yeah, I don't have the time to invest in it because we can find something else that will occupy our time because we have everything at our fingertips now. You also see it with television shows such as like The Walking Dead. They might be with a storyline that they might have spent an entire season building up to. The guy gets killed the next episode and you're like, well, that was quick. Yeah.
Because they have to get to it so quick or people will get frustrated.
I agree with that, yeah.
They have nothing to talk about unless something major happens every week.
But you can't speed up baseball. That's the problem. Like, how do you speed it up so it's not a 4 or
so
5 hour ordeal?
they've tried to speed up baseball with the pitching.
The amount of time
you get in between pitches.
Yep.
Calling timeouts at the plate they try to fix. But it is what it is. It's a long, drawn-out game. It's like going to opera. You know what I mean? You know you're going to be there for 3 hours, and most of it's going to suck.
Well, that
you know what I mean? But baseball is one of those things where it's an in-person experience that you go for. You're going to eat the hot dogs. You're going to drink the beers. You really don't even care about what's happening on the field. It's just a family outing that used to be affordable.
Yeah.
You used to be able to walk in and it'd be $40. It'd be like going to the movies, like comparable prices now. It'd be $40 to go to the game, maybe $80 if it was $20 a ticket, and all food for everybody. Kids, hot dog pop might be like $20 a person.
Yeah.
Now it's like $400 or $500 to go to these games, and people are just like, "Whoa, that's enough of that." So. What's going to fix baseball? Nothing. I think baseball is one. I think baseball. You might have it right with the amount of teams shrinking.
League contraction. Yeah.
But in the future, I think with losses, the way that they're seeing them, they would have had losses this year regardless. I think.
But that's staggering losses.
That is
$3 billion.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money to lose. They can't financially afford to continue.
No, they can't do that for more than. They can't do that anymore.
No. So, okay, topic 3. Scariest moments in sports.
Scariest moments in sports. So we will open this up. This is the Halloween. What is frightening? What have you seen maybe on a sports field or maybe just in person that completely scared you? So I'll let Brandon take this so I can have some tea.
Mine is going to be it's going to relate to baseball actually and hockey actually, and it was before they put the protective netting up. A line drive or a foul ball that would go into the stands is particularly when it's kids, because you've seen kids get smoked by baseballs or smoked by hockey pucks. In fact, I think the reason they put the netting up in the NHL was because a kid died from
Columbus,
from a hockey puck hitting her in the head. That is this. I mean, obviously with the Clint Malarchuk, that was going to be my next one, but. The idea of a line drive and the amount of balls that can leave a bat at the speed they leave, particularly when it comes to kids. I think anything with kids is scary as is, because you want to protect kids. They're not paying attention to what the hell's going on.
No.
So that's my number one thing with regards to kids. Clint Malarchuk is another one, obviously. The amount of blood that was on that.
What scares me, I'll run with that. Well, I'm the bad guy here. Okay. Like on the show, I know I'm a bad guy.
No, I don't think so. But
I'm not. I'm a no BS type of guy for sure. The fact that humans are so dumb is the reason we need nets.
Oh, I agree with that.
Like they're just the entire time, even now, like
watching through their phone.
Yeah. Yes, they're on Twitter. They're on Facebook. They don't care about the game. Like, if they were invested in the game, they don't get hit in the head with a line drive. They can get out of the way. Like, they're an extra 100 feet away from, being a third baseman my whole life, a pitcher before I became a third baseman. I'm ready for it. You know what I mean? I got line drives coming at me 110 miles an hour, like sometimes faster, and you have a split second to decide what you're doing. And at that, like, I'm there. I'm 50, 60 feet away.
Yeah.
When you got an extra 100 feet, you got time.
You do.
As long as you're paying attention.
But that's the thing, is though a lot of people don't, right? Particularly when you're talking about little kids.
Yes.
Because little
kids. But
that's
why you're a failure as a parent if your kid gets smoked in the head by a baseball.
I agree with that.
Yes. So I get that kids are. I do have a young son now, and I don't want to say that if your kid's ever been struck by a puck or a baseball that you're a failure. I get that kids are rambunctious and they're excited that they're out at the game, or they're eating sweet stuff and going nuts, and they had the cotton candy and they're going
they're vibrating. Yeah, I understand it. Yeah.
So you got to settle them down, and you're trying to watch the game and keep them calm and like keep them entertained, and then a ball comes in and smokes one in the head. So you're off the hook for that. Yes, your kid's maybe dead, but it sucks. I told you, I'm the bad guy.
Yes, the kid's maybe dead.
But that's just you got dealt a bad hand, okay? Like, that's something that you can't control. But if if you're not paying attention to the game, if everybody's cool and calm in their seats, but they're all playing on their phone, and one of your kids get hit, that's on you.
I agree with that, but no kid deserves that.
No kid deserves it. And I said that's the adult's fault.
If an adult gets it, I don't feel as bad. And maybe it's just because, I'm a dad. And because, I think about, and I teach. So, kids need to be protected. And you're 100% right that if a parent is there but not actually engaged in what is going on, then that stuff is more likely to happen. Still scary stuff to see a kid get smoked by a baseball or a kid get smoked by a hockey
Of course it is. You don't want to see
Absolutely.
it. Absolutely. I'm a realist. I say it like it is, but I don't want to see that.
No.
I'm just saying somebody's to blame for that.
For sure.
And I can guarantee you, if you're paying attention, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Okay.
There's the rare, because if you ever see the replays of it, like a guy swings through and the bat goes through the air and it's flinging, like they get smucked in the side of the head. They're never looking at the bat.
No, I know. They're usually just kind of watching something else going on, and the next thing you know, it's there, and they're beside them. Yeah.
So the moral of the story is stop going to pro sporting events where there could be an object flying at your head if you're not willing to pay attention.
It's true. I agree.
Because you wouldn't set off fireworks blindly. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things, like, if there's danger potentially going to happen, you got to pay attention. That's all I'm saying.
All right. What's yours?
So, I've seen some pretty crazy stuff in my life. Sports related. I'm gonna run a sports related, and one of them's not sports related, but it's pretty crazy. I didn't see it happen, but I was there and I saw the commotion for the second one. But pretty crazy stuff. I think I've told you this story.
You did. The
soccer story.
Yeah,
So we're having a baseball practice here in town at one of the colleges, and we're using one of the soccer fields because the diamonds were too muddy. And so there's a bunch of commotion going on the other field, and we kind of pay attention to what's going on, and then we go back to our practice, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of commotion going on. And at this point we kind of ask somebody, what's going on over there? And we see some serious stuff going down, fights breaking out. So the guy says, well, one of the players tackled a guy on the field, like a hard tackle, slide tackle, and knocked him out, kicked him in the head and knocked him out. And it was an older gentleman. This is an adult league, right? So I think it was like rival cities too, let's put it that way. So I won't use the real names because people might be watching, but so say it was like Detroit and Toronto. So they have a rivalry there, right? So I say, well, what's the problem? He says, well, then a verbal altercation happened, and the guy said, I'm going to kill you, and a fist fight breaks out. So the guy, after this went down, that was the first commotion, and then everything starts to get ramped up, and we're like, okay, let's see what's going on. The guy went to his car and got a knife, and came back and stabbed the guy in the guts. So the guy's bleeding all over the place. We had a guy on our ball team that was a volunteer firefighter. Grabs a baseball bat, chases the guy with the knife to de-arm him, or yes. You know what I mean?
Neutralize
the threat. The guy drops it. The cops show up. But I literally seen a guy stabbed on a soccer field over stupidity.
Yeah, here in town.
In the city. In our own city this happened. A city of 40,000 people. Yeah. Just absolute batshit insanity.
People love their soccer.
So what had happened, the guy, like I said, it's an adult league.
Yeah.
The guy took down this guy's dad. So he was in his 50s or whatever. Hard tackle. Knocks him out. Causes injury. They took him off on a stretcher, I guess. I didn't see that part. The guy loses his shit, goes to the car, gets a knife, stabs this dude in the guts. He didn't, he was injured, but he survived. But just one of the craziest things I've ever seen at a sporting event.
How long ago was it?
I would have been 21 or 22. This is almost 20 years ago.
Okay.
So a long time ago. Just one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. If we're talking about scary shit happening when you're around, we were at the air show at Suffrage Air Force Base in Selfridge, Selfridge Air Force Base just outside of Detroit, probably about 5-6 years ago. And they had one of those wind walkers, they call them, the guys that stand on top of the planes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it wasn't a good day to be a wind walker because it was extremely windy out. The guy was trying to perform a stunt, and he was trying to leave the biplane that he was on, like the stunt plane. So he unhooked himself, so he's free now. He's 200 feet above the ground, I guess. That's what they said. He was trying to grab onto a helicopter and then be lifted away, like switch vehicles midair.
Right.
It was windy. The helicopter was in position. A gust came up as he was reaching.
Blew him out.
Down he went.
Really?
Hit the ground at 200 miles an hour and died.
Yeah.
So we're wondering, like, I was there with my father-in-law and my mom and dad and myself. We were walking around Static. For those of you that don't know, Static's where the planes go. You can just see them on the ground. So we're walking around and, like, things got really quiet. Like, Static's still going on. We're there for a couple hours. Like, you can go all day. So Alex was there. You were there, Alex? You remember that? So Alex being from Detroit, I was there that day too. I had no idea that you were there, Alex. Wow. So that's something that's one of the scariest things that you could ever see is somebody die. Especially in a tragic way.
Oh, yeah.
Like if it's old age and like it's terrible to see, but you don't want to see somebody die by accident. Like especially, it's just, I didn't see it, but I was there and I felt it. You know what I mean? I felt that.
Oh, it probably sucks the life, like, no pun intended, probably sucks the life out of the event, right? Like, that is brutal.
Unbelievable. Well, there was very few announcements, and when there were announcements, we started to hear things like, they're doing the best they can on the field to help them. Everybody stay with us. We haven't made a decision yet if we're going to cancel the air show.
Right.
They didn't cancel the air show.
That's a terrible idea.
Yes. So.
Oh, wow.
The show must go on, but one of the scariest things that I've ever been around was the somber of the announcements, and then so you left, right? You don't want to stick around for that. We didn't see it. We left after 2, but we didn't leave until we heard the announcement saying, we're going to start things back up again. And then we get talking to people that were at the show, and they told us what happened.
Well, I'd be curious, Alex, how did you explain that to your daughter? Like, was your daughter old enough to understand what was happening? Or was that something like, we're just going to try and change the attention to something else? I'd be curious to know how you approach that.
It's unbelievable that something like that would happen in front of you. Unbelievably bad luck for the person it happened to, but, like, to live with that, like obviously I wasn't traumatized by it, but I still think about it.
Did that air show continue to go on? Like, did it happen the next year? Or
yeah, they have Selfridge Air Force Base every 2 years, I believe. Alex, I think he can confirm that. One of the best air shows in the world.
Oh, okay.
She didn't know what's going on. Okay. We'll move on though. We'll talk about more in the free for all. But Trick or Treat NFL. So. There's quite a few teams right now that have records that might be better than the team is. There's quite a few teams right now that have records that don't show how good that team possibly is. And then there's teams in the middle, like we'll start with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
So I will throw the Detroit Lions at Brandon. Is it a trick that they're 3-3, or is it a treat? Is it for real?
It's definitely a trick. The Detroit Lions are terrible. They've been terrible. They can't get their running game sorted out. We talked about Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. They have to go. I see them finishing 8-8, maybe 7-9. I can't remember who they have left on their schedule, but they absolutely are not. They're not for real. The Lions are never real. They're never for real. So I don't see them doing anything good the rest of the season, unless they fire Quinn or Matt Patricia midseason. That'd probably be the best thing that they can do.
All right, so I'm bringing up the standings now. I'm gonna take one here. I'm gonna have a rebuttal on that.
Sure.
The Lions could be 4-2. They lost to the Chicago Bears with the last-minute touchdown. They also, I believe, lost the game last second to somebody else. They could literally be 5-1 right now.
Right.
They're one of these teams that things are so tight that they could either be 5-1 or 1-5.
But Atlanta is not a good football team.
No, they're not.
They only beat them by a point last night.
I get that, and Atlanta literally beat themselves with Gurley going into the end zone. All Todd Gurley had to do was fall down, and they had to kick a last-second field goal. But he went into the end zone, and I was actually watching it with the in-laws, and they didn't understand why they just let him run in the end zone. I'm like, it's because they need to get the ball back because they know they'll lose by a field goal if they just status quo.
Yes.
So it's kind of an interesting thing. It's a weird strategy, but it happens in the NFL maybe once or twice a year where you see that. But it is weird. But all right, I
got one for you.
Okay, here we go.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. Okay, so trick or treat.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, I'm going to say trick.
Oh.
And I'm going to say it because they do have 2 losses, I believe. Let me check this.
They're 5-2.
They're 5-2.
Yeah. And they just picked up Antonio Brown.
That's not going to help them if that's what you're thinking. The reason I'm going to go with Tampa Bay as a trick, they did beat the Green Bay Packers. That's a tough game. They beat the Chargers, another tough game. Where am I looking here? They lost to New Orleans, who are horrible.
Well, New Orleans was supposed to win their division, right?
They're horrible.
Yeah, I know. They're not good.
They lost to the Chicago Bears. Okay, so it seems like whenever they go up, they've played 2 games against teams that are considered playoff teams.
Yeah.
Green Bay they've won 2 games against probable playoff teams, and they've lost 2 games against probable playoff teams. So, we'll talk about Seahawks maybe, but I think the reason Tampa Bay is trick, I don't think they can sustain it. I think when they go up against real teams that are good, they're going to lose.
Where do you think their holes are? Because I think their defense is very stout.
I think their defense has got them to where they are.
Yeah, they're great against the run, and I think that they've got pieces in place for Brady to throw to, and a running game now.
But when they play against good teams, like they played against the Bears, who have as good or better defense, and a team that can manage the game, they subdued them. That's what I'm saying. They're going to have to beat those teams. Unless if they can't, it's a trick. Like if they were really that good with that amount of talent, they should be undefeated right now.
But any team.
But I know that's a hard thing to do.
Any team can lose on any given Sunday.
That's right. And any given Sunday, any team can win.
That's right.
Okay. So they do have a 5-2 record, but I think we'll get closer to the end of the season. I think they're going to be like a 10-6, 9-7 team. They will win their division because the division's terrible.
Okay.
Like I said, New Orleans has a terrible team this year.
Yep.
No defense, nothing. So I can see them winning the division. Early exit in the playoffs. Early.
Okay. They get in as a wild card?
No,
wild card.
Division winner. Yeah, but right. They will not get a bye if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
The winner of the NFC North will get a bye, and obviously the winner of the West, Seattle most likely will get a bye, and then you've got sorry, who am I missing there? I'm missing my stats here. The NFL East is a shit show, so there'll be an early bye as well, or early exit as well.
Yeah.
So those other 2 divisions, though, the North and the West, are really strong.
Okay.
So I see both first round byes going to those teams.
All right.
Which hurts me to say, but trick or treat, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 6-0.
Oh, they're a treat. I think they're the
legit.
Real deal. Oh yeah,
legit.
I think they're the real deal.
Legit Stanley Cup. Legit Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think so. I think they are the real deal. As long as they can sustain it as well, and you just talked about Tampa Bay being able to sustain it. Their defense looks really good. Ben Roethlisberger looks like he's in a renaissance right now. I think that he will be a question mark for them the longer the season goes on. Their O-line is okay. Big Ben he's just so damn strong. Like, he can just stay on his feet if he's got 2 or 3 guys on him. I think that eventually will wear him down. He is 38 or 39 years old, so I imagine that his body is probably getting a little shot up compared to what it is. Or compared to the past, rather. But I think that don't be surprised if you see them go, I'd say 8-0 before they lose their first game.
Yeah, so here's the thing. They've been smacking everybody around, too. Yeah. They haven't played any real close games. I think the Tennessee game this weekend was a little bit closer, 27-24. Who do they have coming up here? They do have Baltimore next, which is the that's the first time they've played Baltimore. This is how crazy the NFL is. Baltimore beats them next week. They're now in second place, even though they're 6-1.
Yeah.
Baltimore's coming in at 5-1 as well, so they would have the head-to-head. They would actually automatically drop to second. So they do have a little bit of a tougher schedule coming up. So actually, no, Baltimore is a pick'em for me.
Yep.
They've got wins against Dallas, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, so they can easily shoot to at bare minimum 9-1. 9-1. At bare minimum 9-1, possibly 10-0 if they play well again. If they beat Baltimore, the Pittsburgh Steelers will go to 10-0. Then they have Baltimore again, Washington, which is turning out not to be such an easy game as people thought.
Washington looks good.
But their schedule from here on out, it looks like they're a legit 14-2 team. They have losses to possibly Indianapolis, Buffalo. So these are the only 4 games that are pick'ems. Indianapolis, Buffalo, Baltimore twice. Out of those 4 games, I suspect they lose 2 of them. Maybe split with Baltimore, and then Buffalo's the team that they need to beat if they want to go to the Super Bowl. So
Buffalo did not look good this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said Titans missed a 40-yard field goal, game-tying field goal.
That's the game, though, man. Like, you got to convert. People talk about missed chances all the time. Good teams do it.
All right, I got a individual player, Pat Mahomes.
Pat Mahomes?
Yeah.
What about him?
Trick or treat on this guy.
Oh, he's a treat. So, Pat Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes, they won't let him fail. So that's why Patrick Mahomes is a treat. Not because I like the guy, but because I know he's set up to succeed in the league. He's the highest paid quarterback in the league, player in the league.
Yep.
They won't let him fail. So he's one of these guys like the Brady effect. When Brady was in New England, he needs another try, pass interference on the defense, right? He incompleted a pass, right? Throw the flag, give him another shot at it.
Doesn't that make him a trick though, because you're giving him extra chances?
No, because he is legitimately that good. So he's so good that they want him to succeed. They want him in the playoffs because he's a watchable he's a watchable player, a draw. So I would say that Patrick Mahomes, absolute treat. I don't even like him. I can't stand him. I think he's smug. I think he's cocky. I'd just punch him right in the throat if I ever seen him. But when it comes to football, I'm a meat and potatoes guy. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. I'm a run first, throw second guy. Smash mouth football, good defense. That's why I like guys like Big Ben. I like guys like Josh Allen in Buffalo. Like, they're good quarterbacks. I would take them any day over a guy like Mahomes. Any day. Because that's the kind of quarterback that I want to watch. I don't want to watch a guy like, throwing all these angles and
dish it. Yeah, he's sidearm,
it's ridiculous.
Left arm under his leg.
It's ridiculous.
Last one. I gotta know your thoughts on New England. 2-5.
New England is a trick. New England, I said coming into the season when we had our preview show, terrible setup in New England. Cam Newton is a loser. Cam Newton, he's in trouble with his team right now.
He is, yes, he is.
I think they benched him.
Yes, he did.
But Cam Newton not only in trouble with his team as a player, but they're not happy with the guy. He comes out all decked out in this cool suit, supposedly. He cares more about his image and his brand than he does about what he does on the football field. He's trying to sell sneakers or whatever he's selling.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Belichick's not going to live with that. It's over. It's over.
You think he's done?
He's going to be their starter.
No, but do you think he's done after the season?
He's absolutely done. He is completely 100% done as an NFL quarterback.
What do you think? So I know we're going to go a little overtime here, but what do you think if New England picked up like a Trevor Lawrence in a draft?
I don't watch college football. I don't watch college.
He's the guy from Clemson. He's dynamite.
I get it. Yeah. I get it. So if they get a number one guy, but they don't automatically succeed.
No, I understand.
So Joe Burrow's having a great rookie campaign, but he's not automatic. You know what I mean? Like, he's not winning games because they got to build around him.
Yep.
But he will win those games once they get a defense and once they get those other pieces to build around him.
I think New England has a better overall team.
I don't think so.
Like your Cincinnati.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so because I think here's the problem. I think New England has a better coach. He's a winning coach, and I think he has a winning culture. But due to age, I think that's going to switch very quickly.
What, the coach or the team?
No, the team. New England's got one of the elder statesman teams in the league.
Right.
And I'm going through it right now with my Chicago Bears. My Chicago Bears have one of the oldest teams in the league. So how much longer can they sustain it?
Yep.
And I'm going to throw that out there. We'll go to the free-for-all right now. It's our last topic of the night. We can basically talk about anything in the free-for-all, so please put up any questions you have. We can go back to any topics we've already covered.
I want to find out about your Champions Path there.
How did you do with your Champions Path, G-Web? Let us know how you did with that. Hopefully you got a Charizard or two. Let us know. But nice we have some live viewers right now.
Absolutely.
If you're watching on the replay and you enjoy the show, give us the thumbs up. If you haven't done so yet and you're watching now, give us the thumbs up. And definitely subscribe if you haven't done so. It is our Halloween episode. We talked about scariest moments in sports and maybe just something you've seen in life. And then Trick or Treat NFL. The NFL is the only thing really happening right now, so we went with NFL.
Yep.
But I want to expand on. We're in the free for all now, so we can expand on whatever we want. It's my show. Well, it's our show. 51% mine though. If I want to, I have creative control. I do have creative control. That's why I have 51% stake in the show.
You feel like a well, what'd you get though?
Yeah, you got to tell us what you got. You can't just say that. But I want to throw one more Trick or Treat. So Trick or Treat NHL style, with the recent additions in the NHL, with free agency, with everything going on, the Toronto Maple Leafs Trick or Treat. Because the fans are honestly thinking that it's the championship's theirs now.
But they think that every year. It's they're a trick. They're a trick every year too.
Yeah, you get your hopes up just to have your heart stomped out.
They're like that house you go to on Halloween night and you're expecting a full candy bar and they give you a candy corn.
Yeah.
You're like, what is this? This is terrible.
And the candy corn wasn't a candy corn. It was actually a corn out of their feces.
Yeah. Gross.
Yeah. That's a little bit gross.
Things you've ever seen.
Yeah. So that's pretty disgusting.
No, Toronto doesn't have their goaltending situation needs to be shored up. They didn't do much for their defense. Like we talked about this last week, that the addition of TJ Brody was more of a lateral move than it was to make them better. They picked up Joe Thornton. Like, I mean, come on, seriously, that doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form. Particularly, like you mentioned last week, if they play in an all-Canadian division, where the division, Canada's division, is going to be based on speed. You got a 41-year-old in Joe Thornton who's not going to be able to step around anybody. He's going to be a pylon out there. He'll look very much like Darian Hatcher did for the Detroit Red Wings when Darian Hatcher was wearing the winged wheel. I got both a Charizard V and VMAX, both perfect condition, and a bunch of other secret rares.
So you hit both of the chase cards.
Why doesn't this guy come and open this stuff in store if he's that?
He's got his own channel.
Oh, all right. What about a partnership then?
But anyways, just some.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, congratulations. A couple $1,000 worth of cards there. Get them graded. See how they do on that on the back end of that. So I'm just reading some headlines right now. Cam Newton's saying in New England he knows that it might be a permanent thing for him to be benched if he doesn't get his shit together.
Oh yeah.
Odell Beckham, we came on just before the air. We found out that Odell Beckham's out for the year now.
Yep, but we talked about this last week, how he's not even a top 10 receiver anymore.
No, he's fading down the depth chart for sure in the NFL.
I wonder if this will be the opportunity for him to get out of Cleveland.
Well, they bring him back.
Well, that's what
is his contract up?
That's
I don't know his contract status right now, but they're on the way as we speak. So, just a sports card related question or a card related question because it's Pokemon. How did you submit those? Did you do those with priority? How much did it cost you? I'm just curious.
And I just want to comment on Jay's comment where he said Joe Thornton doesn't have a beard now. That's because he knows he's not going to make the playoffs. So
that's right. He doesn't need to grow
doesn't need the playoff beard anymore because he's not making it.
Another thing across the wire right now. The NBA says that they will not drop the salary cap below 1920's salary cap. So they're going to have a hard cap for this year.
Okay.
Which probably gives teams flexibility. And the NBA was one of the leagues that actually did well. I know ratings weren't great, but they saved $1.6 or $1.3 billion in television dollars by completing the season.
Oh, that's good.
So they didn't see the hardships. Maybe in ticket sales, yes, but not in the 2-4 weeks, 75 per card. Nice. That's all right, man. Hopefully they come back PSA 10s, at worst 9s for you. then you seriously have some hot cards there.
Yeah.
Just some other things coming across the wire. Patrick Mahomes is saying that. So as you know, with the Canadian bubble, with Canadian teams not probably going to be able to cross the border for next year due to COVID, at least at the start of the season until vaccines or whatever come out. I think next year will be a complete wash in sports. It'll be similar to this year, and then we'll reboot and have everything back to normal 2022-23.
That's a long time.
So we're gonna have a year and a half, basically 2 full seasons where everything's gonna be a little bit weird.
I'd be curious to know what does that do for the hobby? What does it do for this?
Everything's going to be status quo. Like, players are still going to play.
Right.
Fans are going to be itching to get back into live setting. We talked about that with the renaissance in sports rather than a recession.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing's going to go with concerts. People are getting creative, though. I'm an Avett Brothers fan. The Avett Brothers, North Carolina. So they just had in Charlotte, North Carolina, they had a drive-in concert. They had it at the Speedway there, the NASCAR Speedway. They set up a stage. They allowed, I think, 1,000 cars in at $200 a car. As many people as you want in your car. They had parking spots, and then you watch the concert from your vehicle.
Huh.
But they used Charlotte Motor Speedway as the backdrop. So it's kind of neat that that's their hometown, so they drew well. They were able to sell it out basically. But it's the equivalent, like you're a 4-person vehicle. You've got 4,000 people at a concert. Not too hard to get 4,000 people to a show.
No, I get that.
Especially when it's the only thing going on. So.
Okay. Well, you've got no competition.
No competition right now. But some other things coming across. Patrick Mahomes is pushing for the Toronto Raptors. He's a fan to play in Kansas City next year, due to the fact that Toronto won't be able to cross the border freely due to COVID still being an issue. So there's been reports that the Raptors were going to play. Where was they talked about it last week. What city they were going to play in.
Oh, God, they've been bounced all over the place.
No, the Raptors. I can't remember. Does anybody out there remember where the Raptors were supposedly in talks?
St. Louis?
No, not St. Louis. But right now they're saying Kansas City's the front runner, or that Mahomes is wanting. And we talked about Mahomes having some clout. He might be able to get the Toronto Raptors playing in Kansas City. So it's just one of those things. They've been doing them in drive-in movie theaters. Yes, that is correct. I'm trying to find out where the Raptors were supposedly going. Oh, Louisville. That's where it was. And I was
Kentucky.
Kentucky. So they were going to play at the Yum Center in Louisville. So Louisville's been pushing for an NBA team forever. When I was in Louisville, I go to Louisville as often as possible. I love it there. Love Churchill Downs. We talked about that in our first episode or second episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely love Louisville. The Yum Center is an NBA or professional sports quality arena. Obviously, they built it for the Louisville Cardinals, or I think they're the Cardinals, the university there, because basketball in Louisville is huge. They have one of the top 10 teams perennially, or annually, I guess you'd call it. They have one of the best college programs for basketball in the history of college programs for basketball. But they've never been able to get across to get an NBA team, which is kind of fascinating because I believe they have a top 20 population in the United States as well. Louisville's a big city. A lot of people don't realize that Louisville is bigger than Detroit now. Detroit still has an NBA team, but it's that's been there forever. When Detroit had 2 million people living there.
Yeah, but that's because they are down to now 750,000 or something like that.
Yeah, so Louisville's a very big city. It does have over 1 million people residing in Louisville. Also within driving distance. Well, also within driving distance too. That matters as well.
Yeah.
Another big basketball state, Indiana, borders Kentucky, so it's one of those things, right, where they could draw there. But the Raptors are rumored to play at the Yum Center in Louisville, but now we're hearing that Kansas City's a possibility.
Where do you think they go?
Louisville. I think Louisville.
You think
Louisville? They go to Louisville.
Is that the NBA doing a tryout for them? You think?
I would think maybe, yeah. There are teams in the NBA that don't do well as far as attendance goes. Maybe they're looking at what did you call it earlier when they reconstruct the?
Oh, like contracting the league?
Not contracting, but relocation. Maybe they're looking at a relocation. Yeah, we know that Louisville's in Kentucky, Ryan.
Well, I would be interested to see if that actually works. If they would, well, first of all, they would have to get there. Do you think that they'd allow them to cross the border for that? They can fly over to the States, right?
Absolutely,
But
yeah.
don't they have to?
No, they're going to stay. So, like, the team's going to say, like, we live in Louisville this year. Like, they won't go back.
Do that if they can, like, legally do that.
They won't. Well, they'll have to sign off on it. That's why Major League Baseball players this year opted out of playing, because they're like, it's a 62-game schedule. It's going to take 3-4 months. I'm not leaving my family for 3-4 months.
Right.
When they were talking about doing it in bubbles, so that's the big thing. Like, the NHL worked because it was just playoffs. But if they were to say, look, we're going to have the full season in a bubble, teams would be like, I'm not leaving my family for 7 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 8 months. Like, that's not going to happen for any pro sports league. People still care about their families.
Well,
very interesting.
You can buy a family.
You can buy a family when you're that rich. But anyways, that's it for tonight's episode of Out of Bounds. And we'll have a quick 5-minute outro here. But I got to get home and watch my Bears. Who do you have tonight? Playing the Rams. And the Rams are at home.
I know. I'm taking the Rams.
I think defense.
I'm taking the Rams by 3.
I think defense travels, and the Bears do what they did to Jared Goff in 2016-17, I believe it was, 2 years ago. Walk into LA and punch them in the mouth and beat them like 12-9.
12-9.
That was the score.
High scoring.
That was the score. I think it was 15-9 or 15 something like that. They held them under 10 points. Obviously, LA's got a pretty good defense now too, but the Bears just need to score enough to win, and they know that. It is what it is.
Who's starting tonight for them? Who's their starting
Foles.
QB? Is he still?
Yeah, Foles is definitely starting.
Okay.
I've got the Bears. Probably like I think they'll score. I think the Bears will surprise you tonight. They are a very good primetime team. That's what people don't realize.
The Bears?
The Bears play very well in primetime. Defense travels. That's the big thing. Defense travels, and Nick Foles is pissed. Something to do with the handshake with Tom Brady. Tom Brady last week refused to shake hands with Nick Foles because of COVID. But this week he did it with, I believe, who'd they play? Drew Brees. So it was okay to shake Drew Brees' hand, but not Nick Foles. So there's a lot of... Because of the Super Bowl thing. Yes.
Super Bowl, yeah.
Yes.
The Philly special.
So I think Nick Foles is pissed off right now at the world, right? I think Nick Foles finally has a big game for the Bears tonight.
Get over it, Foles.
27-23 for the Bears. I'm thinking it's going to be more like the Bears' offense is finally going to click. The running game's going to work because it's a trap game, folks. Both teams have really good defenses. But this is where Las Vegas comes into play. Everybody, I guarantee you, is betting the under right now on this game. It'll be like a 37-28 final. I'm telling you right now, it'll be nonstop offense. It'll be that, or it'll be like 12-9. There won't be an in-between. It won't be 27-23. It'll be like very, very low scoring, a blowout, or both teams go off.
So much for the defense travels.
Yeah. You went over 43. I like that bet. I really think the Bears struggle against teams that have multiple wide receivers, multiple options. With Cooper Kupp and what's his name there? I can't remember the second guy's name.
Their secondary's not that good.
Okay. The Bears secondary is good, but one of them's kind of a weak link. So it depends on what side of the field, who's covering who. But it seems like every time the Bears defense makes a really good play, they throw a penalty flag on them, and that shit's got to stop. The Bears the guy intercepts the ball, and it's like a bang bang play. When did intercepting the ball become pass interference? Don't you have as much right to that ball as another guy?
Yeah, you do.
As long as you're not holding them, or
depends on the contact.
No, they hit at the same time, and one guy catches it, the other guy doesn't. So you can fight for that ball.
But where was he looking?
At the ball.
If he's squared up to the ball, then it's no problem. But if he's running and doesn't know where the receiver's at.
If you guys know what I'm talking about, twice in the last 2 weeks, the Bears intercepted passes, and they said the guy got there too early. How is it getting there too early when you catch the ball? You're obviously there at the right time. The ball's there.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know. You want to do a straight up bet? Loser does the hair boot challenge?
I'll eat a bag of gummy bears any day of the week. That's not a bet. Anyways, I want to thank you guys. We're going off about the Chicago Bears here. Like 37-25 for the Bears, something like that.
Okay.
I think the Bears offense clicks tonight, or it's going to be like 12-9.
I'm going with.
I don't like the bet.
I'm going with the Rams tonight to win.
I don't like the bet on my team, but I think the Bears know that they have to win tonight if they want to win the division. Because I think they're going to split against Green Bay. They have to beat better teams to win the division. That's just the way it is.
Well, I don't think the Rams are one of the better teams, though.
They're a good team.
They're a good team.
They're a very good team. Their defense is ranked probably like top 3 or 4. They have a very good defense there. Nick Foles does get rid of the ball pretty quick, so I think Aaron Donald's not going to get to him as much tonight. And if he does, he does. But
well, they'll double cover Aaron Donald so he doesn't get through, right? They'll throw
two
guys on him. We'll
see. But anyways, we want to thank you guys for tuning in to Out of Bounds. Pretty good episode tonight. A lot of fun tonight. Yeah. If you guys don't see us before Halloween, have a happy Halloween. If you do see us, that means you're watching on Thursday for Singles Night. Singles Night coming to you live at 7 p.m. on Thursday night.
Yep.
And if not, we'll see you next week, 7 p.m. sharp for Monday night Out of Bounds. Thank you from Brandon and I. This was episode X, or 10 as you like to call it. But we had a lot of fun tonight. So have a good night, everybody.
Thanks,
Enjoy Monday Night Football. Take care.
See ya.